Welcome back. And mind you, I'm doing all this without headphones, right? I'm once again, let me just run through the setup. You got to use your imagination. I have what's called an Apple TV box, right? It's a cube that I have hooked up to a laptop computer, and then going to my TV, and it's recording this, right, on the laptop. That's two pieces of hardware, and then the TV in front of me. That's what you kind of hear more so than my capture device, because I turned down the volume on that. Of course, the software that I'm using on my laptop is OBS, Open Broadcasting Software. Now, I am getting access to an iMac, but it's an older one, and from my understanding, I can't run the newest version of OBS on it. So I'm kind of forced to use whatever software that I'm going to use with it. Older software, but I think I'm gonna use some of the top of the line older software, and all of that is TMI anyway. But I am trying to um, build a system of hardware devices and software to, you know, create this content for y'all. Now, the program that I have is running off of my phone, but I also have it on my Apple TV device, right? So I have my iPhone transmitting to the Apple TV. It's going into the laptop, which is recording it and running us using a software to that that I have pictures of in there, and then I'm going to run other video in the background. I'm going to run some Sabby Sabs for you today. I'm going to run some Forbes and just a little bit of Tim Black. All right. I don't want to get into politics because they are doing such a great job breaking down the politics and sharing politics. They are the so-called black media when it comes to politics. I'm game theory. I'm a mathematician. So I'm really not gaming. I'm hip hop, right? Like I said, hip hop is an American culture created by the children of the 1960 civil rights movement. We are Generation X from 1960 to 1979. I was born in '71, so like there it is. I'm smack in the middle of it. So I'm sharing the culture with my son, and he's taking it from hey, he came through the door, said it before, never let the mic. Shout out to Rakim Allah. Now we are actually utilizing our minds to remain refined with all kinds of ideas. It's self-esteem to make it seem that our thoughts took years to build, and we're building a network. We're going to try to make Nintendo number one because we both have Nintendo Switches, right? And we're trying to get friend codes. But my parents have iPads, so I'm trying to get them involved in gaming using Apple devices. So Apple devices are 2. Then 3 is me rebuilding my computer. Like I just need a couple parts for it and rebuild it. I have my old iMac. I just need to, do some things that I had to get it to run, but it's an older Mac. It's a 2008 Mac, so I can't get it to run the latest operating system. Therefore, I'm going to have issues with OBS running on it. Just keeping it 100, right? So we'll figure all that out. And no, it's not going to be piracy. It's just that I have to use the older editions of software that I have the physical media for. I have the physical, what's called CDs and DVDs and things of that nature to load back onto my machine and run it like it was, 2008 or whatever. But that's a whole nother story, right? Therein is where, Apple, Microsoft, even Linux, they drop you, and you have to get the latest, versions of the software or hardware in order to run the latest version of the software. My iPhone is good because it's an iPhone 14, and this is my last one. I don't need another phone more powerful than this. It does what it do. I'm not gonna run a game more powerful like this game right here, Japanese Royal Life Adventure. Is free on Apple TV, Apple Plus TV Plus. Now it's not free, but it's with the subscription. I pay a subscription for Apple Plus TV Plus. That's different. That's the software. And I can access that on most TVs, most people's houses. Like I go over to your house, put in my information, and I can run it just like Netflix and those things. But what the box that I have is the actual device. Apple TV Plus is the software, and therein is me trying to explain the difference between hardware and software, and I'm still trying to do that with my parents. So it is, they just want to know what they want to know, and I love them for it. Enjoy your life, right? But for everybody else, everybody's in complete chaos and misunderstanding, and I get it. My parents are baby boomers, so they're not going to listen to Savvy Sav. She knows nothing. Like she's a young buck like me, right? I think she's a Gen X. She got to be a Gen Xer. She's not a baby boomer, and you know what I mean. But I'm not disrespecting her. Like I want to share her little thing right here, and fair use 1976 Copyright Act, and I want y'all to enjoy it and pay attention, and you can agree or disagree with her, but it is corny when I share Savvy Savs and then women attack because she has a white man's head. Now I'm saying her husband or her significant other, right? But they don't do that with, and they do that with Candace Owens. Right, but they don't do that with Ketanji Brown or Kamala Harris, for example, because they're Democrats. And then that's what it's like. Y'all got to stop being hypocritical in that kind of nature. Like God told you that Democrats are less evil than the Republicans. Like what God told you that? That's some ignorant ass to say, right? And then act like you don't know. Like ho. The only person that I allow to say you don't know me, like you don't know me, Volo. That's Big C, and my bad, Big C, right? Shout out to you and your beautiful wife and your mountain lion dog, your puppy, right? I want a boxer. I don't want no real, eat a whole human being kind of puppy, right? I don't want Cujo, right? I want a nice sized dog. I don't need a pit bull. Like I don't want a little dog with a big head that can eat you too. I'm more fond of like a boxer that's athletic and and could handle his own and can like just look cool when when the apocalypse happens and it's just me and the dog walking through these the blowing up towns that's about to happen, right? Because I'm taking accountability. Like, hey, I couldn't do more of the Biden thing. That was crazy right there. Like, too many illegals in America. They gotta go. And then when I say illegals, I'm not talking double negation, double negative, or subtract minus times or minus is a positive. Like, nah, y'all caught on some. Y'all don't even understand the true mathematics, right? Which I'm calling epistemology. I'm just kind of adored with it now since. Everybody wants, even Royce Wright wants to bite it now. All right, cool. Epistemology is the warfare. Let's get it on, right? Y'all not ready for that type of warfare. Y'all still confused with psychological and philosophical warfare, and then don't know the difference between a metaphor and a metaphysics, right? Yeah, I mean, like y'all on some next level thoughts, but y'all on some low level. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My apologies, right? So let's get back to the lesson at hand that I'm about to share with you. I'm gonna share the Savvy Savs. I'm really not gonna, cause I don't want to diss her. She good peoples to me, but that's her husband. Her husband is her head, right? Just like Candace Owens, her husband is her head. Just like Ketanji Brown, her husband is her head. Just like Kamala Harris, her husband is her head. Just like Michelle Obama, her husband is her head. So me judging any of those five, it actually goes again. No, I'm not judging. I'm not here to judge them. I'm not here to judge their husbands. But that's what the word is, right? That's what the word is. So when you have Big Tish, and I'm just grabbing Big Tish because she doesn't have a husband, right? Big Tish still on her own, and they sent Big Tish after Trump, and her highlight is being proud about not listening to her husband and going down to Planned Parenthood. Like, she was proud of that. And it's like, yo, that's between you and God. Leave me alone. Leave me out of it, Big Tish. Right? Because now you asking me to judge you, and I'm like, nah, I'm not here to judge you. But you want to be the leader of the black family, right? Because that's what these are supposed to be, the leaders of our nation. And they over here in more conflict with the brotherhood of man, whether that's manhood, mankind, or manpower. I'll let y'all decide that, right? Like, they the leaders of the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. I need y'all to repent. So I'll be back with a little bit more, and I'm gonna switch the game up a little bit, because I'm just showcasing, a couple games that I like to play. I was gonna share like spades or something. My parents ain't really, or solitaire. My dad might play a little solitaire, but I sent my son over there to play Sonic the Hedgehog with him. But there it is, right? So here's the Shabby Sabs. I already talked too much. 11 minutes. I didn't want to. I ain't want to do a whole half-hour show. But I'll be right back. All right. There it is.
Everyone's going to be challenged, and we've done it well for the last 80 years. And I'm worried that there's a loss of understanding of the consequence of that.
So I'm just going to break this down for you for just a second, because this code word of democracy that people like to use, a lot of the politicians like to use, I have to say this. When they say that we have to protect democracy, and now he's saying there's a breakdown of that, what they're really saying is U.S. dominance. So let's replace the word democracy with dominance. Because here's the thing. We have so-called democracy in the United States. We don't have true democracy, because when you have parties that pick who the nominee is going to be, like Joe Biden's party, that's not a true democracy. Okay. So it's not really about that. That's that little word that they use to replace dominance. That's really what they mean. Why do you think they say things like Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East, right? That's the ally for the United States interest. It's not that the US government cares so much about the Israelis. I would say they don't. They care about the interests in that region, the resources. There's oil in that region. Let's not get that confused. It's not about democracy. It's about US dominance. So the concern that he has is that the US is losing their grip on that. And that was only going to happen in a matter of time anyway, because the U.S. empire is sinking. I used to say decline, but when I look at the numbers, it's sinking. It happens to every empire, you guys. They rise, they fall. It happened to Rome. If you know the story about the Roman Empire, come on. They grew. Maybe they expanded a little too fast, some might say, but they grew, they rose, they became powerful, and then they fell. And for some reason, I think the US government just seems to think that for whatever reason, that was never going to happen to this country. But history tells us that's not true. History tells us that every empire eventually falls. Let's get to the second part here.
Happen if the Trump administration says, look, that's the deal. You've got to give this territory up, at least temporarily. What is your fear of the consequence of that?
My fear of the consequence is that some of the NATO countries are going to decide that maybe, especially those along the border with Russia, may just say we got to make an accommodation.
Okay. So Donald Trump said that Crimea belongs to Russia, that Ukraine's going to have to do something there, whatever. Joe Biden is responding to that, and he's saying that, oh no, if they give Russia Crimea, then my concern here is that the other nations, the other NATO nations along the border, are going to feel like they have to accommodate Russia. So what? Okay, like really, those countries can decide to do what they think is best for their people. For their people. No other country comes over to the US and tells us who we have to be in a coalition with. No other country comes here and tells us we can't do business with Canada, we can't hang out with Mexico, we can't do these things. It is the US that tells other countries who they can be neighbors and friends with. It's a cult. And I don't understand why more countries don't push back on this. And I'm talking about more countries that are part of the West. One would think at some point the UK would stand up and say, I'm getting tired of being the stepchild of the US. Even Macron has made comments that I think Europe should not depend on the West and follow their lead all the time. Other people are starting to see this. So what? So what? We don't even live in Europe. Why do you care if these countries decide that they want to have a coalition with Russia? You know what this is really about? Russia has certain programs that take care of their people. China has certain programs that take care of their people. If you go back in history and you learn a little bit about McCarthyism, and they were like, oh, the Vietnam War, we got to do that because we got to stop communism. Got to and all that type of stuff. They do not want that to spread. Hell, we're like one of the wealthiest countries in the world. They don't even want to give everybody health care in this country. The US government doesn't like these things. It's a problem for them. But why do you care if other countries in Europe are deciding to do business with other countries in Europe? Such a mess. Such a mess.
And it's all about changing the colloquial rhetoric, right? Like that's how she started off. It's all about changing the colloquial rhetoric of democracy, or the fundamental definition of democracy. It is the game that these lawyers are playing. That's what I've been saying about Barack Obama. He changed the fundamental definition of marriage to be, hey, we have to include this as marriage too. And it's like, nah, dude, we ain't got to do that. Who told you that one, right? So therein is somewhere somebody it has to be is the leader, right? And it's not Barack Obama, dude. You're not the leader of the culture, the community, or the consciousness. Who taught you? Who told you that you was Jay-Z, right? That's why I'm very disappointed in Barack Obama. And that's all that Savvy Sad was trying to express. Like, yo, that's day culture over there. NATO is day culture. In fact, I'm sharing that right now too. This is Forbes' little march that they had there. This is Fair Use 19. This is what they protesting overseas, right? While we over here protesting letting in illegals, let's see what they protesting over there in Europe, right? Let's see here. Give me 2 seconds to figure this out. All right. Hope I ain't get no backdraft from all that right there, right? I'm gonna make it large enough so you can see it too. You see it? You see it, right? These are protests overseas, right? And in the background running, Stardew Valley. I just wanted to. There it is, right? Are you starting to understand? These are they over there marching to dismantle NATO, right? Drop NATO instead of dropping more bombs, right? They calling for peace, and they're saying NATO is the ones that's causing all the issues, right? Meanwhile, we over here saying let in more or don't send the illegals back to their home countries, right? Like, are y'all starting to under? That's and it's clearly the only one side is doing that, right? It's both sides is doing it because there's Republicans that's vouching for it too because they rather have, you know what I mean? But I don't have a problem with, you know, a nice family, you know, coming here to you know what I mean? We get that. Like they want to do the all right, cool. I don't have a problem. My conflict isn't with them, right? My conflict is with the gang members coming up in here, being dropped in the smack dab in the middle of the black community, and then the warfare is strictly black people, right? Or the same concept they do with gays, right? They could. My fault. Let me share this right here. This is some black real quick. All right, let's see here. I'm still playing the other thing. Let's see right here. I hope I'm recording everything. Let me cut that off for a second, and then I'm gonna go straight to some black here.
Gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that because
that's
if we
Tim Black
start
right
with
there.
that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today,
I'm sorry.
is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging black people.
You're starting to
It's
understand.
not even the same. I couldn't step foot during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like.
Are you seeing that? Did you see how they convoluted? And that's where the Whoopi got in trouble because she connected gays and blacks as one entity, right? Like she's speaking, we can't, you know, the gays and the black and the lady went right along with it. Like here's a whole panel of women clucking like birds. I couldn't take too much of that. I don't know how Tim Black put up with that. All that clucking like that. That's what when Malcolm X said the roosters came home, the chickens came home to roost is what was the cause of, right? And then of JFK. Then he was murdered not too long after that, right? Then JFK, you know what I mean? Like it was JFK, Malcolm, then you know what I mean? Then Martin, then Bobby, right? And then right, everybody getting murdered because it's they fighting and they fighting and all they did right. And it's like no, y'all supposed to be talking about, you know, what are good books for the children to read, right? What are some good video games? Like this is here, this Dandara. It's a black protagonist as the superhero. I ain't got a problem with it. But when you got Oprah, I mean not Oprah, but that was just what, you know, Whoopi speaking for men, right? And it's, you know what I mean? Because when you're saying gay, you're speaking for either the brotherhood of man, the brotherhood of manhood, the brotherhood of mankind, the brotherhood of manpower, right? And you're speaking for the fatherhood of God. Nah, that's not her role. Is she even? I don't even know if she's a mother. I really don't, right? She doesn't share her family or. And I understand she got a white man head too. I don't have a problem with it, right? But you trying to deny that that's the hierarchy, right? If he allows you to be the head, all right, he allows you to be the head. But when y'all over there just clucking and then saying that black men are too homophobic or transphobic or too, you know, too much toxicity against the gay community, right? Y'all need to really repent, because we tired of that, right? We practice loving God, our Father, all the time, hip hop life, right? That's God is love, hip hop is life, time is holy. Money, right? Because y'all ain't even cutting the check. Money is nothing more than the fourth dimensional illusion that really doesn't exist. Y'all buying men now? Like that's y'all thing? Like because all we did was buy women? Like we didn't give y'all the wisdom? Right? We didn't talk about the macro and microeconomics or the art. Right? Macro and microeconomics is the art of making the most out of life, which is hip hop. That's the truth thing. Right? So I'm done doing videos like this. I might play a little video game later on. I think I'm gonna go back to Pokemon. But I might try to share some more of that Tim Black because he just sat there and listened to them cluck for a good 15-20 minutes and then broke down why y'all really don't know what y'all talking about, right? Whenever if you sound like Whoopi Goldberg, you don't know what you're talking about. Peace of mind isn't for the weak. All right, I'm about to go enjoy some popcorn and I'm watching Star Trek. That's what I'm watching. I watched the first one, then I'm watching the Wrath of Khan, and I might play this game a little bit, but I'll holler at y'all later. More.
Gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human